I'm Amy Nicholson, the film critic for the LA Times.
And I'm Paul Scheer, an actor, writer, and director. You might know me from The League, Veep, or my non-eligible for Academy Award role in Twisters.
We come together to host Unspooled, a podcast where we talk about good movies, critical hits,
fan favorites, must-sees, and in case you missed them.
We're talking Parasite to Home Alone.
From Grease to The Dark Knight.
So if you love movies like we do, come along on our cinematic adventure.
Listen to Unspooled wherever you get your podcasts.
And don't forget to hit the follow button.
I'm Ann Foster, host of the feminist women's history comedy podcast, Vulgar History, and every week I share the saga of a woman from history whose story you probably didn't already know and you will never forget after you hear it. Sometimes we re-examine well-known people like Cleopatra or Pocahontas, sharing the truth behind their legends. Sometimes we look at the scandalous women you'll never find in a history textbook. If you can hear my cat purring, she is often on the podcast as well. Listen to Vulgar History wherever you get your podcasts.
Have you heard of Olivia, the travel company for lesbians and LGBTQ+ women? You know what they say, life is short and the world is wide. And when you're a lesbian or LGBTQ+ woman, you want to be able to go on vacation, have some fun, feel safe, and be yourself. Olivia Travel creates full takeovers of their cruise, resort, riverboat, and adventure vacations so you can kiss who you want to kiss without a care in the world in your own safe space. Olivia also provides the entertainment, bringing comedians and musicians from within your community. Traveling by yourself? No problem. Olivia has a robust solos program so you can travel alone, together. Single, coupled up, or in a group, you'll meet amazing LGBTQ+ women who come from all walks of life, yet have so much in common. Join the thousands of Olivians who travel to bucket list destinations all over the world. It's life-changing to be in the majority on your own vacation. Discover Olivia for yourself at olivia.com today.
Lez Hang Out. Lez Hang Out. And let's talk about what Lez is about. And let's listen to two lesbians shout. Lez Hang Out.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Lez Hang Out, the podcast where two can keep a secret if one of them is dead.
I really feel like that is one of the best theme songs of all time.
It still slaps. Listen, the show will whether the show ages well, the song still hits.
That's
okay?
like a no skip theme song.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. From the West Coast, I'm Lee Holmes Foster.
From the East Coast, I'm Ellie Brigida. To those of you who've been with us through this whole journey, thank you as always for listening. If you're a new listener, welcome. We're excited to have you here. Here's what's happening this week.
This week in the Lesdom.
This week in the Lesdom is a place where we can touch base each episode about things going on with the podcast or otherwise. In Season 8, we are continuing to release our Patreon bonus episodes. Our last episode was on Amelia Perez. It was quite the ride. You can listen to that at bit.ly/lespatreon.
And if you have thoughts on what we should do for our last Patreon episode of Season 8, you can email us, DM us. The suggestion box is open. We are looking for ideas.
We are also very excited because we are planning our next big Lez Hang Out trip to France, March 25th through the 31st of 2026. We're going to be going to Paris and Bordeaux. You can sign up at bit.ly/LesDoFrance. We already have quite a few signups, so we are so excited to get this trip up and running. In the greater Lez universe, there is a new trans-led programming festival called The Joy Who Lived, which is direct competition to the Cursed Child coming to LA. So there are some trans and non-binary creators who created this basically 20 plus different events that are all centering trans artists, queer joy, to basically say like, oh, to anyone who's like, oh, well, there's nothing else. Like, we have to support Harry Potter. Like, here, we've created all of its content for you that you could watch instead. I think Vico Ortiz is going to be a part of it. I saw on Vico's Instagram. We love Vico. River Butcher is going to be doing a comedy show. So there's a lot of really incredible trans and non-binary talent that are just saying, hey, fuck you, J.K. Rowling, and enjoy our shit instead.
Of an evergreen mood, honestly. Also in the greater Lez universe, Ginger's, the Brooklyn's lesbian bar, just celebrated their 25th anniversary with a 3-day festival over St. Patrick's Day, which honestly love that for them. Also because that means they were celebrating on my birthday, which they should have been doing. So correct.
Exactly. And especially with like very few lesbian bars in this country, it's great to know that we have bars that have lasted for 25 years.
Mhm. Love that.
Also, I'm sure some of you have seen Chapel Roan's latest interview. Girl needs some media training. Lee, what do you think about her comments about children?
Listen, you can find all my thoughts on my Blue Sky. No, I mean, here's what I think. I think having kids is hard. I'm sure if you are 27, right, ish, and you already know plenty of people with like many children in the Midwest, like they're probably, they're not having their best time right now. But I just think, like I listen, I don't I just can't get that worked up about it. I'm not like mad at Chapel Roan. I feel like probably there was a better way to say that. Like maybe I don't know if I want to have kids. That feels like, a thing. I don't know if that's how I want to spend my time, live my life. Like that's fine. I'm like, I don't care if you don't want to have kids. I think a lot of people like to. There are things about having kids that are hard. People like to complain about the hard things in our life. And there are legitimate things that are hard about having kids. Yeah, it's tiring. That she's not wrong. That's true. You're tired a lot. That happens. But also my kids are great and I love them and I am happy. So I don't know.
Here, you heard it first, Chapel. One lesbian with kids is happy.
One happy. I mean, also the lesbian part might help,
Yeah.
because quite honestly,
I don't think she's thinking of you when she's talking about these people. Yeah.
No, probably not.
And that's okay.
Yeah. And houses with husbands in the Midwest probably doing not as good. What? Who said that? Thanks, Ellie and Lee, and welcome everyone to episode 16 of season 8, our next installment of Lez-ssentials.
Lez-ssentials is a recurring segment on the show where we dive into classic lesbian movies or TV shows.
And as a reminder, we are writing and recording original songs for all of our Lez-ssentials movies and shows, so you will want to stick around to the very end of today's episode for a new original song. It's called A Liar.
Wow, such clever wordplay, Lee.
Clever wordplay indeed. And as a kind of unique Lez-ssentials, we are joined by a special guest today. You might know him as the director of TGI Femslash, a former guest on the podcast, friend of the pod, or also as the writer of an absolutely unhinged fanfiction starring many characters from the show we're about to talk about. That's right, John Arrow back in the house.
Yay, welcome.
Oh, thank you. I am delighted to be back. And thank you for the plug on my story.
We are definitely going to have to hear about that fanfic.
Oh, my. I mean, I'll talk about it all night. It's totally fine.
Great. We'll get to that. But if you didn't get it from the theme song, for this Lez-ssentials, everyone, we are talking about the 2010 to 2017. Man, in the good old days, they really did lots of seasons of every show they possibly could.
Remember when a
7
show
seasons.
had more than one season?
Freeform hit show, Pretty Little Liars, starring Troy Ann Belisario, Ashley Benson, Lucy Hale, and Shay Mitchell, and created by Marlene King.
Pretty Little Liars. Pretty Little Liars.
Hit us
What
with
a
the
throwback.
IMDb synopsis. Let's go, Lee.
Yeah, for anyone who is not familiar, God help you all, with Pretty Little Liars, here's the IMDb synopsis of the show. 4 friends band together against an anonymous foe who threatens to reveal their darkest secrets while also investigating the disappearance of their best friend.
True-ish.
True-ish.
It's so much more than that.
That's true for like 4 episodes.
Then we go completely off the rails.
And then we go a little off the rails. Okay, here's what I want to start with. I know we don't always do this for Lez-ssentials, but I think for this one, it's valid. So can we all go through and share our experience with Pretty Little Liars first? And then we'll do sort of a quick recap for anyone who hasn't seen it. So John, why don't you, as our resident special guest, expert who knows everything and will make 0 mistakes.
Leah.
I'm so sorry. As our resident guest, tell
who
us
we
your
will be very
experience
gracious with
Pretty Little Liars. Chris?
Sure. I started watching Pretty Little Liars, I think it was 2013. So the show was a few seasons in. It was probably around season 3. And a friend of mine, recommended it to me and was like, hey, I think you would like this. And so I started watching it and immediately was like, oh, who are all of these amazing female characters in this terrible murder mystery situation in this completely unhinged, addictive show?
Yes.
So I watched it through to the end. Have seen the 7 seasons. I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 times through. But even having seen it multiple times, I'm still like, wait, did this happen? Wait, what? What? The character did what? Because so much happened. There is so much of this show. There are 160 episodes. That's more than Buffy. Like there is so much. So just please know that to anyone listening, if you are someone who did not see all of this show or cannot remember much about it, like it's okay because 10,000 things happened
Mhm.
and there's very little sense of continuity and plot threads are dropped left and right and it's just completely unhinged and off the rails at all times. So
Here's what I can tell you. Even as someone who did watch it live straight through, there are I feel like I could just pick up any episode now 8 years later and not be any more confused completely out of context than I was at the time. So it's fine. It's fine. Ellie, what about you?
Well, I was going to ask if you've both seen the whole thing, because I will say my experiences. I watched, I believe, first, maybe second season when it was on TV. But I'm curious, when do you think it went off the rails? You think episode 4? Lee?
I mean, there are definitely some episodes here and there. The first 2 seasons were pretty solid. Season 3 is actually my favorite, I think, even though there's some plot lines in it that I hate. Most of my favorite stuff is in season 3. I think certainly as they got into 4 and some things that happened at the end of 4, they were really starting to push it. And as they introduced more and more red herrings of who is A and had to make many characters very sketchy so that they could be potentially A, it went places, but I think definitely in 5 there was some stuff that happened that was a little wild, but season 6 had what I think is the worst wacky thing halfway through in the mid-season finale. And then they did a 5-year time jump, and everything after that is ridiculous.
Wild.
So,
Yeah, that sounds right.
Here's how I decided to answer this question. I just went and Googled what year did Ravenswood premiere. That's the that's the answer. Because I believe
correct.
season 1 and season 2, as someone, to be clear, I never read the books, but I believe season 1 and season 2 were much more not completely faithful to the books, but at least sort of following the general
a plot
of the books. And then I think season 3, I agree, was good. And then once they sort of became now we are an IP with our own cinematic universe and we're going to spin off shows and do all this crazy shit, it just got crazy. It got crazy. So yeah, I would agree. It looks like Ravenswood premiered in 2013, which I think would have been season 4.
Yeah.
That definitely goes in, it takes things in supernatural stuff is canon kind of direction that they then never address in the main show.
Because how could you? Because you made one show spooky and supernatural and the other one wasn't. And it's
too much.
It got so silly. But
what I will say, just as a more finite answer here, is so much of the first 4 seasons is around, is Allison alive? What happened to Allison? Who murdered Allison? And so then at the end of season 4, when they actually spoiler, she's not dead, they bring her back. From season 5 on, I felt like they didn't really know what to do with her or with the show, because
or anyone
or
any character.
Yeah, because those
for
early
any
seasons, these girls had bonded over their friend was dead, and they were being cyberbullied around it. And
then she's not dead. They're like, oh fuck.
Once Allie comes back, it's like, cool. So what's the show now? And I don't think they ever truly figured it out, and they had to keep escalating. Well, who is A? And there were 3 different people across the show who were A, and it kept getting darker and darker with each new, mega A, uber A, whatever. And so they just kept having to outdo themselves. And so aspects of the show that were already ridiculous, like how could someone do that? How could someone get the timing of this particular A prank or whatnot? Things that were already really stretching our suspension of disbelief. It just eventually you
Went
just
even
have to throw
further.
up your hands and go, there's no way. This is
You just, I
believable.
think to enjoy the show, you sort of have to just give in to the chaos of it. But for me, I feel like I watched the first 2 seasons probably when it was out. And then in preparation for this, I was like, I'm going to start watching Pretty Little Liars again. I only got through the first 3 episodes. But in going back to it, I just am like, this era of freeform
Oh God.
is unmatched. Like,
What
I
a
don't,
gift.
but also I'm like, okay, freeform is the CW question mark?
No, it was
ABC Family.
right?
Yes.
Yes, it was ABC Family. For the early seasons of PLL, I think it was ABC Family.
Yeah.
And then partway through the series, it
It
became
became freeform.
Freeform.
And then they could fuck.
They
Yeah,
They-
it went from
they had
Seventh
liberties.
Heaven to Seventh Hell.
yeah. Yeah.
And given that
Obsessed.
this show was between 2010 and 2017, like it's pretty much the same time period that Glee was on. So like
Mhm.
what a time for
Yes.
young adults in America to have these 2 shows that have so many characters and so many unhinged plot lines and very little sense of continuity or like accountability. And it just what a time to be alive.
Mhm.
And
I just feel like
I
it
was
was
in
like,
both
yeah.
fandoms.
So, Ellie, you never finished any of the show.
No, so I had no clue what happened, except I feel like just
Incredible.
peripherally, I knew
Incredible.
that Allison came back from the dead. Like I'm not gonna be spoiled, really. It's like it's years later. Like I don't really care. But I
You're
honestly
gonna really enjoy watching me
I'm gonna
stumble
keep
my way
watching.
through a recap.
Here's the
of
thing.
this show.
I started watching the first 2
You
episodes,
should.
and I was like, you know what? I want to watch.
You should.
I'm gonna finish this as an adult,
Okay.
and I don't care.
I'm going to segue into my own experience with this show straight off of that, and here's why. Because here's the thing. Not only was this, you are 100% correct. This was an amazing era of television,
Mm-hmm.
okay? What the show itself, this show jumped the shark so many times. It's not even possible to the limit does not exist, okay? But here's the thing. This show is still my golden level of fandom for me. This was my biggest first real and I think biggest experience of what fandom can be surrounding a show. And there are a couple things that made it so successful. One,
Shay
weekly
Mitchell.
episodes.
sorry, continue.
One weekly episodes of full length seasons, right? 20 something episode seasons. Just I don't know why network streaming services whatever cannot see the value of what that did for building fandom communities around your show. Two, here's the thing. When I think back to Pretty Little Liars, I remember somewhat the show, and most exceedingly, I remember reading Heather Hogan's recaps, which were, and still are, incredible. And I'm not even lying, Ellie. The reason I'm saying that, you should keep watching the show is because really what you should do is watch the show and read the recap after everyone. This was a weekly event in my house, was watching the episode. Kelsey and I would watch it together, oftentimes with friends. I had 2 friends that I went to grad school with who used to come over most weeks. We would watch it together. And then whenever, the next day or the day after that the recaps went up, Kelsey and I would sit on the couch and I would read it out loud for us. I'm not even joking. It was
Like
an
a bedtime
integral
story.
Yeah. It was an integral part of the experience of watching this show for us. There was a hashtag that became the go-to hashtag for this show. It's called hashtag Boo Radley Van Cullen. Okay. And every week you would try to tweet your funniest things during the show or afterwards to try to get included in the Boo Radley Van Cullen recap of like the best tweets from the episode. It was like a whole thing. Okay.
So
and I'm
wait,
going to say
can you explain the hashtag?
Yes, I can, and I will in just a second. So here's the thing. You can still find these if anyone else wants to go on the journey I'm trying to convince Ellie to go on. You can still find them. I will say prepare yourself because this is pre-Autostraddle. This was on a website called After Ellen, which does still exist. It is a turf cesspool, and you should not do anything on there, but I would give you a pass legitimately just to read these recaps. They're that fucking good. I don't know if Heather has ever put them up anywhere else, and honestly, they should be like in a museum if you ask me.
Actually, for you, I feel like a coffee table book.
Yeah, no,
in your
literally,
home.
If someone wanted to ever get me like the best gift imaginable, it would be that.
Brilliant.
Make a coffee table book of
Listeners,
these recaps.
Yeah. If you want it, Lee's address is just kidding.
Who will do this for me? I'd give you my address, okay? I'm so serious. I would do that. Okay, here's
As
the
we
hashtag.
talk about a show about a stalker, yes.
Here's the hashtag Boo Radley Van Cullen. The hashtag started in the first couple episodes of the recaps, and it was because when you first meet Toby, he's like this weird, creepy recluse living in like a dark house, and everyone is like, he's so creepy, and we're so scared of him, even though he's got that hair that tells me he's clearly going to be a romantic lead on this show, right? So that's where the Boo Radley part comes in, okay? But then also he would like show up and have this beautiful face. And so the question was like, is he a Boo Radley or is he a Van Cullen? And it became Boo Radley Van Cullen. And that was just the hashtag for the show. Don't know why it lasted all 7 seasons. I still have it I have a shortcut in my phone that expands to Boo Radley Van Cullen, and I refuse to ever delete it because it brings me joy.
Yeah.
Because it brings me joy. Okay? So here's the thing. We got so into this, and I think the thing that was funny is, again, any one of us who has been in fandoms, when you try to explain to someone sometimes that you're like, it's not that the show was that good. It's that everything came together. Like, the experience for me of watching this show was one of the greatest times of my life. It was the best time. Like, we used to host season premiere parties at our house for the 4 of us that used to watch it together, where Kelsey and I would make themed snacks. We were making pink drinks. We were making like when you make the cups of like chocolate pudding with the worms in them, like dirt. We had like coffin dirt wormies going. We had like, I'm so serious. We made pig cupcakes one year. We were having the best fucking time watching this show, reading the recaps. It was crazy, and the show was stupid and fun, and like you could never be disappointed by it because your expectations were it's gonna be crazy, and it always was. Mm-hmm. It just always was. So like I love it so much because not because of the show, but just because of like what it was at that time in my life. There you go.
And if I can add on to that, this show was, I think, one of the first shows that truly embraced what Twitter could do for your fan base. And even though I was not like super active on Twitter or in the fandom, I've seen and heard other people talking about that this show understood, hey, we can be, like live tweeting things during the episodes. We can be engaging our fans through this
the actors were, the showrunners were, like, it was a time. So listen, don't ever go to After Ellen for any reason. Don't go on Twitter anymore. Listen, people, but
a lot of these things are dead, unlike
these
Allison.
things are dead, but the recaps are still available. You can dig them up there. I know they're in the archive because I just went and looked up the first one and it's still there. So it's just an experience. It was an experience. It was a time to be around. It was an era that feels like it just doesn't exist anymore.
I know. I will say, like, watching it again, because I was in Nashville this past weekend, and me and my girlfriend were staying with 2 of her friends from college. And we watched it, like, the 4 of us together. And I do feel like there is a social aspect to this show because so unhinged.
Yes.
That you need to be with another person to, like, laugh and look at them and be like, did that just happen?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So important.
My best 100%. Friend, my best friend Eli is a walking database of Pretty Little Liars knowledge. He knows the show inside and out. And so he and I will put it on in the background and watch it together from time to time. And it's so like nostalgic, and yet also so much happens in it that I'm like, I've seen this 4 times and I don't remember this. Like what even is
Yes.
this? So it's like home, but you're also seeing things as if for the first time, and it's this magical combination. And you have to watch it
You
with
can
someone
never
else so you
guess what's
can
coming
on it.
next, even if you already know what's coming
No.
next.
Absolutely.
Speaking of, should we try to do like a super quick? I mean, listen, you all know how long
I'm
Ellie and
very scared of this, but
I
I
know.
feel like
I know.
it's something
I'm
we
gonna
should
try
try.
to. I'm gonna try to do this like literally as fast as I can. It's gonna be helped by the fact that I legitimately have not watched an episode of this since the finale aired in 2017, and my memories. I'm old now. They're fading fast, you know? So I'm just going to dig deep into my subconscious and dig up what I can. And that's what we're going to go with as the recap of the show. Will it be accurate? Probably not. Will it be comprehensive? Definitely not. But we're going to do our best, okay?
And
Okay.
I'm happy to help fill in some gaps as best I can as well.
Incredible. Here we go. We open on Crash, Thunder, Lightning. Sleepover.
Stage directions.
4 girls eating pizza in a tool shed. They're having a sleepover. They're
And drinking.
possibly
yes.
drinking.
John is
They're-
miming. Yes.
Yes. Sorry, it's actually not even 4 girls. It's 5 girls. Allison's still alive. It's a flashback. So here's the deal. We meet our 5 liars, right? We have Spencer, we have Emily, Aria, Hannah, and we have Queen Bee Allison, who is like the Regina George of the group.
Mhm.
And she is kind of being a bitch.
As she always is.
As she always is. And the end result of the night, the only thing that matters is they all fall asleep a little bit drunk and they all wake up and Allie is gone, missing. Then we smash cut to it's a year later, right? They're all still in high school, a thing they will remain for the entirety
7
of
seasons?
the show. No, not for all 7 seasons. But
Oh
they will
yeah. There is
remain
the 5-year. There's the 5-year
there's
forward.
There's a
Yeah,
5-year jump at some point, but they will remain in high school for more seasons than should have been possible for actresses who were already well into their 20s when this show premiered.
And there's a particular thing that happens with the timeline that's just really something, but we'll get to that.
Here's the thing. You have to admire that they really tried to stick to, I think for a long time, every season was like a half a year of high school, right? Or like
I mean, they were 16 in the first season. I think they're sophomores.
What I will say is, yes, they start season 1 as sophomores.
Yes.
By season 4, they're finally seniors, but they will be stuck in what is known as endless November.
Yeah.
The entirety, I think, of season 4 and the first half of season 5, it turns out like all falls in one month because there's a Halloween episode.
Yes.
And then
a Christmas
season
episode.
and a half later, there's a Christmas episode. And it's supposed to be that everything in between, like, it's still their senior year. Anyway,
it's crazy.
It's wild.
It's crazy.
Mess.
But that's what I'm saying. I think for the first 4 seasons, it was like first half of sophomore year, second half of sophomore year, first half of junior year, second half of junior. Like, not exactly, but like give or take, it was crazy. So anyways, they're in high school for forever. These actresses are going to be like pushing in their 30s and they're still in high school,
And they're
baby.
still 17.
Okay, but we smash cut to a year later. They're all high school sophomores, LOL, and they are I think the episode 1 ending is like they're doing construction because a new family has moved into Allie's house and they're doing construction and they dig up a foundation and they find a body. And so everyone's like, oh my God, Allison's body, right? And so they have a memorial and they're all like, oh my God, sad. We're in mourning clothes and we look like we're wearing like a 50-year-old woman's mourning outfits because we're all high schoolers. But anyways, they show up and then they leave. Jenna shows up. She's got a cane because she's blind because of a thing that happened that they're not going to tell you yet because this is how everything in the show was. They're like, remember that thing, the Jenna thing, right? That's how everything in the show was for 7 seasons. So they're gonna like tease out, like not telling you. You're gonna get like flashbacks as you like slowly piece together this story. But here's the important thing. They all leave the memorial and their cell phones all ring, because this was 2010. You had ringtones still turned on your phones back then, kids. It was a crazy time, okay? So you get this like bleep, 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 ba-doop, ba-doop, ba-doop on all of their phones simultaneously, and it's a message signed A, okay? And then begins this endless, years-long arc of somebody blackmailing the liars under the guise of A. And as John sort of already laid out for us in some slight spoilers, who A is not only the central running mystery premise of the show, but finding out who A is never stopped this show, okay? Because you could just keep making more A's. It was incredible. So you first find out that it's like the first iteration of A was Mona in a hoodie running around under cover of darkness at night, sending messages and hiding like pig hearts in lockers, and like just causing near-death experiences, possibly murdering multiple of Emily's girlfriends, and doing all sorts of shady shenanigans until she got locked up in an insane asylum, like you do. Then there was another A. Who was that A? Oh, it's Charlotte De Laurentiis, aka Cece, the trans sister of Allison, who is now girl, but when they grew up was Charles, and also is definitely crazy. And she's blackmailing them for reasons I don't even remember. I think because her father like disowned her, and then they like hid her away because she was trans, and then there's all this other stuff. And like, listen, I'm gonna give us a huge caveat right now and say this is a Lez-ssentials. This is not a trans-ssentials show. It's bad. It was bad at the time, and it doesn't age better, because then they just straight up kill Charlotte too, okay? And so, in addition to many, many lesbians that died during this show, Charlotte also dies, and it's terrible. But then, what were they going to do for, like, a whole other season? They had to invent a new A. Who is it? It's also Troian Bellisario playing her own sister with a bad British accent. I wish I was kidding.
Wait, what?
But I'm not.
It's the best, worst thing that ever happened on the show. Like, Troian is my favorite actress, and Spencer Hastings is my favorite character of all time. And I still can't fully believe that this happened. They definitely did the evil twin thing. Now,
yes,
I have not read the books, but I know that in the books, it is Allison who has the secret evil twin. So they diverted in that way because people were kind of expecting it, so they wanted to do something different. And so the fact that the finale is like all about Spencer makes me really happy. But, you know, every amazing human being still has some kind of Achilles heel or like something that they're not good at. And I will die on the hill that Troian Bellisario is like one of the best actors of her generation. But my God, her Achilles heel is accents.
it's accents.
And it's really something. And
Yes.
I'm also confused as to why the evil twin is British.
Because
Spencer's
father, who not only fathered Spencer and Allison and Charlotte and this other mystery twin whose name I do not even remember anymore.
Alex Drake. Her name is Alex Drake.
Oh, yeah, sure. Alex Drake.
Wait,
it had to be
Spencer's
an A, of
dad
course
is Allison's dad?
Okay, listen, I would have to draw it's a very complicated family tree. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like don't even try to wrap
Okay, we don't
your
even
head
Spencer's
around.
dad was just basically hoeing around Rosewood.
We love a visual gag on a podcast.
Yes. He was hoeing around. He was just banging. That man had two jobs, one that required a suit and one that did not, okay? And he was making babies just all over the place. And so everyone was apparently related, including mystery twin Alex Drake, who then he like she shipped off, or like her mom was, because it wasn't even like the same mother, right? Like,
Well, the mother, Mary Drake, who was Allison's aunt.
Yes. Oh my God.
It's a whole thing. But yes.
That's a whole thing.
So Spencer's mom, Veronica Hastings, is not actually her birth mom. And so that Spencer was adopted secretly. Y'all, it's a whole thing, and we've given you spoilers.
Like, I cannot wait
until I get to this London town. It's like basically what we're going with. And so she has an accent. She shows up with like vague completely nigh indecipherable motives for like why she's doing all of this. And then she also like enlisted Mona again something because Mona's like pathologically insane at this point and like straight up like Batman villain level crazy going on. They're in like a giant underground dollhouse. Like shit got so crazy, Ellie. I cannot even tell you.
I can't wait.
And you'd think you'd be like, I just told you I'm gonna watch all of 7 seasons of this show. Why would you spoil it for me?
I won't remember.
You
I won't
Nothing
remember
could
any of it. Yeah, I won't
possibly
remember.
prepare
thing.
you.
Don't worry. Yeah,
You
I'm
could've-
not spoiled.
You could have written all this down and been like
No.
watching the
And then
show,
when it happens,
wait, what?
yeah,
No.
when it happens, you'll still be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Just like every other time, you'll think that you're like, wow, you must have forgotten an A because there's another one. And then we'll be like, haha, silly you. No, Toby was never actually A, despite the fact that they kept teasing him in a hoodie at the end of episodes. Ezra was also never A, despite a suspicious can of garbanzo beans in that man's pantry.
The ominous chickpeas. We love the ominous chickpeas.
The ominous chickpeas, like everyone on this show at one point or another was pitched
A red
as
herring.
they used to film
Yes.
multiple people being the A reveals so that even the cast members didn't know until the show aired who was actually supposed to be A at the end of the season, right?
Correct.
So like everyone was acting like they were A all the time at like every single second of this show. It's so crazy. It's so hard to keep track of. There's no way to remember any of it. So many people died. Like it's just, anyways, what a delight.
And the wiki for this series is so long because there's so much stuff that happened. Like I was doing research for, coming on here and just refreshing my memory, and I'm reading things and I'm like, yes, I know that I saw this, but it's truly nuts.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so crazy. It's so crazy.
So crazy. Should we dive into the Les of it all?
Oh,
Yes.
sure we can.
Let's take a hot break, come right back, and dive into all of the things that are why we are covering this show.
Have you heard of Olivia, the travel company for lesbians and LGBTQ plus women? You know what they say, life is short and the world is wide. And when you're a lesbian or LGBTQ plus woman, you want to be able to go on vacation, have some fun, feel safe, and be yourself. Olivia Travel creates full takeovers of their cruise, resort, riverboat, and adventure vacations so you can kiss who you want to kiss without a care in the world in your own safe space. Olivia also provides the entertainment, bringing comedians and musicians from within your community. Traveling by yourself? No problem. Olivia has a robust solos program so you can travel alone, together. Single, coupled up, or in a group, you'll meet amazing LGBTQ plus women who come from all walks of life, yet have so much in common. Join the thousands of Olivians who travel to bucket list destinations all over the world. It's life-changing to be in the majority on your own vacation. Discover Olivia for yourself at olivia.com today.
Lez Hang Out.
So we're not covering this show because it's the best show of the 21st century.
It is a work of art.
But yes, I mean, obviously I am most familiar. I think most people in the queer community are most familiar with the like canon gay shit of Pretty Little Liars, which is Shay Mitchell. And I would like to say I was having some hilarious conversations with Bailey and her friends this weekend about Pretty Little Liars. I feel as though Shay Mitchell both helped and hindered people coming out of the closet.
Say more.
Because, especially bisexual women, because they were like, of course I find Shay Mitchell hot. Like, every person finds Shay Mitchell hot. And you're like,
yeah,
yes, but not all of them want to sleep with Shay Mitchell like you do.
Do you have eyeballs?
Yeah,
sure.
So I think Shay Mitchell is one of those
bi.
very confusing bisexual crushes, But yes, Shay Mitchell is Emily.
I will say this about Emily Fields. Her tombstone should read, Emily Fields, she could get it. Because
she could get it.
She did. Any woman with it, or teenage girl when they're in high school, whatever, within like a 20-mile radius who had any inkling of potential queerness. I mean, it's like the potential Slayers in Buffy, how they were all just suddenly activated. Like as soon as Emily kind of came into her own, like all of a sudden, phew, everyone's activated, and suddenly all the women in Rosewood are queer. And they are gay for Emily. She dated everybody. And can get it. I mean,
Can get it.
this particular character, I admit, like, I love that she was queer and was getting it all the time. But I didn't find her character particularly interesting plot-wise. And I did find an interesting stat on the wiki that of all of the liars, Emily has the least amount of total screen time by 2 hours, which
Wow.
is
That's
a
crazy.
lot. Yeah, her storylines literally revolved around either her various relationship dramas or various like health problems, injuries, and different things that happened to her body. They weren't able to do much with her plot wise, like in service of the other narratives. So she is my least favorite of the liars because I just find her a little boring. But
Well, I feel like
she was
also,
gay and hot. So
well, here's the thing. Because we were also finding it funny, like just watching the first few episodes. Because it's because her being gay is the most interesting thing about her. Because this is 2010. And so, like, every other character, it was like they have this like super complex in like trauma that A is exploiting. And the only thing that A is exploiting for Emily is like, you kissed me once.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
You were
Yeah,
gay
gay
for me.
bitch. It was 2010. Okay, Ellie?
But
It was a different
But so I
time.
understand what you mean, because for me, I'm like, of course I love Emily because it's please get it. And being gay was her plot point,
It
right?
was.
Whereas all the other characters had more fleshed out character development.
Right. There was more substance there. There was more to their personalities.
Mm-hmm.
And so much of Emily's kind of personalities and her narratives, if not about the various women that she was dating, it was about her loyalty to Allison and her feelings about Allison, and that even when the others were like, "Ugh, we're ready to wash our hands, Valley, and be done with all this," that Emily was still kind of tied to her. So yeah, just that
And what
emotional
do
anchor.
we all think? I mean, I don't as much know what happened between Emily and Allison, but like,
Oh, but would you like to?
I would
Because
love
boy,
to hear
can I
this
tell
because
you.
even just watching like the Emily and Allison fan edits, I'm like, what the fuck is going on?
Ooh, okay, I'm trying to decide if I want to just like speak off the cuff here or read this paragraph from the PLL wiki about them. I'm just gonna have to read this because I could never do it justice. Okay, so Allison was Emily's childhood crush and the first girl she truly loved, though she didn't have the chance to tell Allison before her disappearance. Allison favored Emily in their friend group and often spoke of running away to Paris together. They shared what Allison called practice kisses. That's gay. Allison saved her from a barn fire and confided that she missed Emily the most before kissing her. And when Allison returned from her abduction with Emily's help, the girls grew closer and eventually slept together. While their relationship endured many ups and downs in the years that followed, they always found their way back to one another, either as friends or hookups. Allison's refusal to accept her bisexuality and inability to process her feelings for Emily often drove them apart. But Allison realized that she loved Emily and wanted to be with her, admitted her true feelings, they began a relationship. However, when Spencer's evil twin, Alex Drake, impregnated Allison with Emily's eggs.
Yes.
She stole Emily's eggs.
This is post time jump, Ellie, just to clarify. They're not in high school at this point.
But how do you steal the eggs?
Don't question A's
don't even worry
abilities
about it.
to do crazy shit.
Don't
Okay?
even
You
worry
just
about
gotta roll with it.
Okay, great.
So evil twin stole Emily's eggs, got Allison pregnant with them. They faced a new obstacle on whether or not to become mothers after this extreme violation of consent. Emily was supportive of Allison's choices, both when she thought about an abortion and when she decided to keep the child. A year later, the women were mothers to twin daughters. Allison later proposed to Emily. I will say she did it wearing a fucking ugly pug shirt or sweatshirt as well.
It's so bad.
It's really bad. And they wed shortly after. They had rocky relationship. Eventually, they divorced, but continued raising their twins together. Anyway, so it's really a whole thing of stealing eggs and impregnating, and then they got married, but they divorced, and they have
That is
And most
crazy.
importantly, despite moving to Freeform, where all their fucked up straight couples got to have steamy, steamy sex scenes, they never got to fuck. It's important to mention because it is famously one of the, you'll see it's in like season 6, it must be season 7. I think it's season 7 because it was right at the end of the show. They will have, I swear to God, Ellie, a scene where you have every liar partnered up with their romantic love interest, right? And you have like the straight couples are straight up like topless, mounting each other, like in bed, like they are thrusting with wild abandon, right? And they're sweaty and they're whatever, and you're getting the artsy camera angles. And then they smash cut to Emily and Ellie lying in bed, fully like just sheet up to the chin, right?
Like holding hands. I don't know.
Like no, it was, they didn't even show their hands. They showed like two knees kind of like brushing near one another. Okay? It was crazy.
Hot.
Like you're watching other scenes like full on fuck on screen, and then you're watching like, remember when our knees almost touched in a bed where you couldn't see any other part of our body? It's crazy. And the discrepancy between like how they're covering 3 different straight couples, one of whom is supposed to be a girl and her high school English teacher,
Mm-hmm.
is wild. Is absolutely wild.
It is. Yeah. Emily's relationships never got the same level of physicality that the straight ones did. For sure.
No, and
even though Emily was usually dating someone, like the one time we know she had sex, like with Maya in Spencer's room, even then, like it's still not on par with what we saw when they were doing. For sure.
Almost nothing. And I just want to mention that at the time, it was still like, even for those of us watching who were like in the queer media like fandom spaces, we were still just like, hey, but they ended up married. They had a family, right?
Had a family
because
from
at
stolen
the time,
egg.
yeah, from stolen. Listen, sometimes family is made. Love makes a family. Love and a psychopath make a family. Ellie,
stolen eggs
and a
make a family,
reincarnated
as
best
we
friend.
all know. Okay, but the important thing was so many of Emily's girlfriends just kept turning up dead in the show. So you're like, I'll take it. Quite honestly, like whatever. Yeah, touch knees again. Hot.
Okay, and remind me too. I should know this. And when did Clexa happen? What year?
2016.
Okay, so do you feel like Pretty Little Liars fandom was like really building up, like Emily's girlfriends keep getting killed, and then Clexa happened, and they were like, "Fuck this."
Well, I mean, the thing with Emily's girlfriends, like her first girlfriend, like for the first 2 seasons, did die at the end of season 2, and that was a big deal, but I mean, certainly not like Clexa proportions. And honestly, I don't know if there was a ton of overlap between like people who are watching PLL and who were involved in other queer media, and like fem/fandom kind of things. And I mean, I never much cared for that character who died anyway. So people have their own opinions. I'm sure for some folks out there, those things were connected, and like Maya was certainly part of whatever
barrier
group of of queer characters happened then. It's funny, I don't think of it like as being a part of all of that like I do some of the other ones like Pusey or What Happened on Walking Dead, etc.
No.
Well,
it
you think it's just
wasn't
because
as serious,
it's how
I think.
it's because it's how Pretty Little Liars is.
But here is what I will say that is a bigger issue. Pretty Little Liars not only did a terrible job with trans stuff, which we can talk more about a bit, it is also horrifically bad in terms of race. There are 3 actors who had 3 actors of color who had recurring roles. All 3 of them are killed.
It was
Like, not just like
laughably bad
die,
even
but
at the
like
time.
are killed, all three of them. So I think that is a bigger issue than the fact that it was, this
A queer
particular
character.
lesbian character. Because again, there were so many fucking lesbians on this show because Emily has the power to turn people just by existing within 500 feet of them.
Yeah, listen, you run one down, another one just comes out of the bushes in Rosewood. I mean, what are you going to do? You know? That's fine.
The murder
It's
capital of
fine.
Pennsylvania.
It's
Like,
fine.
people were dying left and right. But
Here's
the
what
race
I
issue
will
was a
say.
problem.
Here's what I will say, honestly, because the thing is, most of this show, it's so hard for me to take a lot of it seriously, and that's why I think it got away with what I do think was horrible representation when it came to race and when it came to trans people. But it was so comical, the times and the ways and like the scenes in which all these characters kept dying. Like, even I still remember, like, because Shay Mitchell went hard in that episode when they find Maya, right? Like, she went so hard, and I still can't remember it and be like, yeah, that was emotional. I'm like, no, this show was crazy, because I'm like, they went just as hard there as they did in the chairlift when Arya finds out that Ezra was lying about chickpeas. Like, it's not, there's no amount of, like, there's no realness to this show. It's the craziest fucking thing ever. And I think they got away with a lot because of that, and I think they got away with a lot because of the era of time that they were airing in, where, like, yeah, it was not as self-aware, perhaps, as you'd hope people would be now making a TV show, but I mean, just crazy television.
I apologize. And I'm realizing I want to be clear about my language on something because, as I'm thinking about it, like, Shay Mitchell is a person of color, right? Her Emily's girlfriend Talia is a woman of color. I'm talking specifically about the three Black actors who had roles. All three of their recurring Black actors were killed off, or Black characters were killed off. That specifically needed to be named. Thank you. Okay, sorry.
Do you want to talk about the trans representation?
Oh God.
So, in season 3, we meet Cece Drake, who seems to just be some other like red herring character. This blonde woman who is friend of Allison's and her brothers and whatnot, and is this cisgender actress, and we don't really think much of it. And then 3 years later, she is revealed, as Lee said, to be actually a trans woman who is the long lost sibling of Allison. And so some of the various issues around it. I mean, number one, anytime you have a cisgender actor playing a trans character, there's murkiness there. Number two, the fact that, and I'm saying these in no particular order, okay, just as they come to me. Number two, the fact that the villain of this show was a trans woman. And not only that, but someone who was portrayed to have serious mental health issues. Like, if you are stalking and torturing, like not just tormenting and cyberbullying, but like actual torture, which is what happened in the season 5 finale with this dollhouse, like actually kidnapped them and was physically torturing them. So to do that, to have the capacity to do that, to paint, this trans woman as being this big uber villain, I remember being so upset that they had played into this classic trope of, trans people are, crazy or evil or whatever, just so very othered. I wrote a pretty nasty Tumblr post about it at the time. And so it was just this combination of, wow, you all really thought that this was the best thing to do. And it felt very much like they were going for the shock value of this reveal of, oh, Charles De Laurentiis, this long lost brother, surprise, Charles is Charlotte. And we'd all be like, Ooh, what a brilliant twist. Man, you really got me. But
Yeah.
literally everyone was like, are you fucking kidding me
It's
with
it's
this?
it's in the similar vein as like Amelia Perez, which Ellie and I are gonna record on soon.
I was
but it's like
thinking of that so much when you were talking. I was like, this is
yes.
But it's also
Yeah.
like Amelia Perez was made fucking this year.
Yes. No, and it's worse. I mean, it's worse because and here's the thing is like anytime that yes, you're gonna go down the road of like, wow, this duplicitous lying psychopath. Like that's a rough road to especially in like the mid to late 2010s for your trans rep. The one tiny little silver lining they had going for them, and this is we're really stretching to find it here, is that because they wanted that reveal to be so far out of left field, yes, of course, they still cast a cisgender actor, but she was a cis woman, which is probably better than we were getting across the board in a lot of shows at the time because, still, I mean, still now, and especially a decade ago, like you were still getting here is a man playing a trans
Here is
woman.
Eddie
So you're like,
Redmayne. Yeah.
right. So you're like, at least she's a woman, I guess.
I'm going to push back on that and
Do
say,
it.
I think you're giving them too much credit because I 1,000% don't think when they introduced CC Drake in season 3 that they knew that that is where we're going. And the reason why is because in her opening scene, when they introduce her on the show, she says, I dated Jason. Jason is her brother. And so it was like a little throwaway line of like,
Yeah.
oh, this is how you know them. But it's just like with Britannia on Glee, you make the throwaway line of, oh, is that what dating is? Because if so, Santana and I are dating. Like
I'm not saying they cast
you have
her
to go with that. Yeah.
in mind, John. I agree. I don't think they did
They did
at
not
all.
know what they were going to do with her.
I am just saying I think they wanted the reveal to be surprising, and I think they felt it would be more surprising to people because this is a cis woman who passes, right? As a trans, like that would be a trans character who is like highly passing. And like that is still not heavily the case for cis actors getting cast as trans characters. Tends to go. I feel like you tend to get people who are like, I want it to be as obvious as possible that this is intended to be a trans person. Like it's gross. It's gross all the way around. All of the representation, the whole storyline. I remember at the time a lot of the marketing around the season after Cece died, and a lot of the marketing, the season where Cece was dying, and a lot of the marketing around that had to do with them all sort of like around a coffin, and you're like, and it's your one trans character's coffin. That's what you slapped on every fucking poster that you made for this show. Every billboard has a dead trans person in that box. Like it wasn't great by any far stretch.
And throughout the series, but especially as they're getting closer to that reveal, the characters themselves, like the writing with the characters themselves, they do a lot of like he, she, it, whatever kind of, I mean, we would call it out now as like transphobic language of like
we were calling it out at the time.
No, but I mean even like that kind of writing would not fly now, but at the time it was like, oh, ha ha ha, but very like dehumanizing language. And at the time, like we could give them the benefit of the doubt that they were saying that because they did not know the gender of this villain. But when you go back and rewatch it, knowing that they're actually talking about a trans person and wondering, did the writers know that we were going to be talking about a trans person? It really doesn't age well or doesn't hold up well.
Yeah, and I'm sure that there were 0 trans or queer people in that writer's room.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe
queer. Maybe.
Yeah, I think there were some queer writers, but I don't think that...
Is Marlene King, is she queer? Oh my gosh, I'm not trying to like start a rumor. I want to say like,
gosh, it's been so long I can't even remember.
The showrunner queer? I can't remember. Anyway,
I don't remember.
Sorry, I don't mean to like start a rumor.
I think that she is.
I want to say
It
that
says there's a tweet that says I'm married to a woman.
Okay. So I think what happened is because, if we're saying, this is a show that is run by a queer woman, and has Emily, like we're touching on Emily's queerness from the pilot episode, and she's getting relationships the whole time, like everybody else. I think there's a lot of like, look how much we're doing right with queer representation, and not necessarily taking a moment to think about, okay, but there are other types of queer representation that we need to pay attention to and use care with.
Yes. How do we feel about the bisexual representation as well?
I mean, I would say what bisexual representation? I think Allison is, I guess, canonically bi, but they don't really talk about it very much. And I think so much of the conversation around queerness and ladies coming out and all this in the show is it's like, am I ready to be out or not? And there's not much about, oh, but do I like guys too or whatever? It's like, am I gay and ready to be out or not? And a lot of Emily's storylines were about being out and proud or not. Emily and Maya broke up because Emily wasn't ready to be out and accept her gayness, but Maya was. But then once Emily worked through that, they got together. Then Emily and Paige went through a similar thing and broke up because Emily was out and proud, but Paige wasn't ready to accept her gayness and be out. And so that was where most of the tension was in a lot of Emily's relationships. And I don't remember any conversation in the show at all ever being around bisexuality, or if that's even a thing that people are thinking about.
Listen, we can hate on Paige all the livelong day. Fucking crazy ass character. Paige's that coming out scene in Emily's room still slaps, man. Still good.
Paige has her moment.
You've been talking about that. You've been talking about that for years.
What's a little drowning between friends? Okay, it's fine. It's fine.
So many people love Paige. I'm on this end of the bell curve that I'm not a Paige fan, but she has some moments.
Here's the thing. You have to remember, John, that an awful lot of my love of this show doesn't even have to do with the show anymore. And I think yours is the same, right? Because one of the great things about Pretty Little Liars, and one of the top reasons I would argue it is a Lez-ssentials, regardless, is not only did it give us so many canonical queer relationships, like sapphic relationships in the show, but the possibilities for fan pairings, endless. Crack ships.
Now you're speaking
galore.
My language. All right.
Okay.
So first of all,
John's like, I'm sorry, I brought my notes.
And just to finish that thought real quick, the one thing I will say is I love Paige in fan fictions far more than I love Paige in the show.
Yeah.
Because I think fic writers really capture a lot more nuance of her character than the show ever bothered to. The character in the show is crazy. I mean, she's crazy. Let's just kicking some garbage cans around. Like, she had some anger issues. It's fine. But like the fic possibilities, chef's kiss, just endlessly good.
So John, let's let you go, because I know before we even started this episode, you were like, Emily, sure, but the fanfic, like those pairings are what got you through.
The canon doesn't do much for me in the show. It's all about the fan stuff. But I will say regarding Paige, just to make one little crack at her, I don't trust anyone who has a different haircut every time I see her. Okay, so one of the best relationships on this show is Hannah and Mona, otherwise known as Vandermeeren. And this friendship that has its ups and downs also is really gaily coded for so much of the show. And I know many people who say like that is their favorite queer relationship in the show. And I will take a moment, if I may, to plug a podcast that any PLL fan should listen to called Everybody A, Everybody Gay. If you have never heard of this, it will change your life. It is two queer ladies talking about like breaking down each episode and talking about all of the various queer things that are happening and how all the men are predators. And it's
Yes.
outstanding. It's outstanding. So
Yes.
again, everybody
Oh
gay,
my
everybody
God.
gay. And those two podcasters are huge fans of Hannah and Mona together as a pairing. And so, Mona is someone who I absolutely could see as being canonically bisexual and in love with Hannah. And I think Hannah, definitely part of her is in love with Mona, even though she couldn't necessarily name that, maybe. Another,
Bet you Ashley Benson could, though.
oh, Ashley Benson, for sure. And another big fan pairing is actually Hannah with Spencer. It's called
Mhm.
Spanna. I see that as a really good friendship. Like, I can't get too much into that particular relationship, but that is a huge fan pairing. The one that is my personal favorite,
I was about to say, how are you not
I'm
getting there?
building up
Okay,
to
there you
it,
go.
you
I
know?
was
build,
waiting.
build.
My life begins and ends with Spencer and Arya together with
Hashtag.
Team Sparia. And in the show, like, they sit next to each other in every scene. They have a lot of scenes, just the two of them. In fact, in one scene, they literally use the phrase Team Sparia. So it is a thing.
This
And
again, writers who were aware of Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
yes, exactly. And so, the thing with Sparia, they are this fantastic friendship, and I'm super into that, like, as an aromantic person, but they also work really, really well in a romantic dynamic. And there is some wonderful Sparia fic out there, and also some really good smut and stuff. So anyway,
Yes.
I recommend investigating any of these pairings, with a special shout out to the hate ship of Spencer and Mona. I'm not saying I hate them, I'm saying they hate each other. Spencer and Mona would have amazing hate sex, and I'm
Mm.
here for it. They are extremely competitive in the show, just naturally, with all their, like, academic decathlon, team kind of stuff, whatever that quiz bowl team thing is called. And I mean, Spencer literally lunges at Mona, dives over a table and screams, "Die!" at the top of her lungs, and tries to strangle Mona to death. So the tension is there.
Listen, they go to an insane asylum together. Bonds are forged. Like, it's a lot.
Trauma
you
bonds,
know?
baby.
What I'm saying. So,
Yes.
these six main characters really do break off nicely into Spencer and Arya, Hannah and Mona, and then there's Emily and Allison, which is, the canon thing with the eggs and the divorce. Although I will say about the eggs, what's funny, Shay Mitchell cannot always hide her Canadian accent and will say eggs instead of eggs most of the time. Like, someone stole my eggs, and it's funny.
Amazing.
So yes, I just needed to take a moment to shout those out, because
I mean,
even
I
though
think
there are
that our
boyfriends
yeah,
galore, like, whatever, we don't care.
I think that our listeners, they're not gonna hate that.
No.
Good.
No.
No.
But that's what I would say is, like, listen, I know we could sit here and talk about it forever. I think this show still, its many issues aside, I still think this was a moment in queer media history, you know? It was hard to it's hard to capture now, like, what it was like to have that show in the years that it was airing, and, like, how much more it was giving us than we'd had for a long time, you know? I mean, just crazy amounts of queer women in Rosewood, Pennsylvania.
Mm-hmm.
And even though many of them died,
Shh.
a lot of other people died too. So it's a bit of a mixed bag with representation, but having Emily Fields as a main character who is lesbian from moment one, throughout, she never lapses in her, oh wait,
Yeah.
I'm not actually queer, and, like, gets boyfriends or whatever. Like, there was that dude, Ben, in season one, that she was dating because she was still figuring things out. But she is like, once she locks in with "I'm here, I'm queer," then continues on. And so to have a main queer character, lesbian character, who is a woman of color also for 7 seasons, when everyone's dying all around her, is pretty freaking
Yeah.
and
Well, and to have a show with, as we have now just Googled, confirmed, a queer showrunner, and 4 lead actresses, 2 of whom are now openly
Well,
out and
Shay Mitchell's
queer.
out, right?
Yeah, Shay Mitchell's out, Ashley Benson's out. Like,
no.
Which
I
is
didn't
perfect.
realize I'd forgotten that Shay Mitchell came out as bi, I suppose.
how could you forget the green velvet couch, John?
You're right. Listen, a lot has happened. I'm so sorry.
A lot has happened, and most of John's brain is taken up with Pretty Little Liars.
And
Just
and
kidding.
listen, I will say, like, not for nothing, and I would hope that she wouldn't mind me repeating this, but I may have spoken to Troy and Belisario personally, face to face, about the fact that I don't think Spencer is 100% straight. And she was like, oh, yeah, no, totally. During that time jump, like, Troyan headcanons that Spencer had a girlfriend during the time jump when she was living in Europe.
Ha! Reboot it.
Yes,
give us the
please.
lost years.
Like,
Listen, they could still
where's
play
that
high schoolers,
footage?
I think, now, right? Come on.
Right? I mean,
anything's possible.
They're not that, like, they could. What?
Troyan was
They're all like
24
my age. They're all like my age.
Troyan's the oldest one out of all of them, 1985.
Oh my god, was so young. She was 14, I think, when they filmed.
She was younger than that. She I promise. I've heard her say it from her mouth.
Oh, when they filmed it. Yeah, I think she was 14 when it aired.
Yeah, when they filmed the pilot, she was like 12.
Yeah,
and
she was young. And
Troy
she
was
lied.
like 24.
Right? She lied about how old she was at the time, I think, to get the part.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah, which also made it weird when they did do the time jump scenes and stuff, because the thing is, she always looked so like crazy young compared to the rest of the cast, because she was just at such a different point in like her life. I mean, it was wild. She was probably younger, I think, than her character even when they filmed some of the early pilot stuff.
Yes, she was 12 or 13, like playing a 15-year-old. One thing that I will say about this show, something that is both ridiculous yet also really fun and funny, is the fact that the night Allison disappeared, and this Labor Day weekend, during the pilot, over the course of the show, they mention like 25 different things that happened that night. He was here talking to this person, and they're talking to this person, and she's talking to Arya's dad, and she's talking, and she's over here, and she goes to see this person. And someone has actually like mapped out the timeline. There is no fucking way that these 25 things could have all happened in this one evening.
They lived multiple lifetimes that day, John, and I think we should all just accept it, okay?
There's just so much. The show itself has plot holes that you could drive a truck through. You can't take it too seriously. Did I mention Endless November? Entire relationship that like spanned a season and a half, and like you're with these characters on this relationship for a season and a half. It's like, cool. So that was like 2 weeks. And
you know what? Are they lesbian relationships? Because that's fine.
No, I mean, maybe some, with maybe Emily and Paige in there, but just so much. The lack of continuity is incredible. The plot threads are many, but we love it.
I cannot wait to continue my Pretty Little Liars
I require live text
continuous.
As you go through this.
I will let you know.
Yeah.
When the craziest things happen, I'll let you know my thoughts.
Amazing. I just want to get text messages from you that are just question marks. Like, just
yes, and you'll
what?
Know.
Yeah.
You'll know.
And Lee, you then have to forward the best ones to me.
Yeah. Listen, honestly, this is making me want to go back and rewatch the series, and that's
it's
not
just
a
so
thing
much
I
content.
have wanted to do.
It's so much content.
Years. I think Kelsey would laugh me out of the room, but we had such a good time. We had such a good time watching this show. If you haven't done it, do yourself a favor, listeners. Journey down that rabbit hole with us.
Incredible.
It's crazy.
There's so much with so few consequences. I mean, there's the Jenna thing that is revealed in like episode 2.
Yeah,
that they're responsible for blinding her.
They set her house on fire. It's fine. Whatever.
There was a firecracker explosion thing or something. I don't know, whatever. But of the 4 main girls, like who aren't Allison, so like Spencer, Arya, Hannah, and Emily, by the end of the series, 3 of them have killed somebody.
Yeah.
3 out of 4.
Normal stuff.
None of them none of them go to prison. The only person who actually goes to prison is Allison, who is framed for killing someone else who also isn't dead. So
listen, Spencer does get locked up a bunch, just not in jail.
She does get arrested.
She gets arrested. She does some community service time.
And then she was sent to space. It's fine. It's
literally
fine.
What?
That's in John's fanfiction, which everyone should read.
Okay. The fact that Ellie
I can't tell.
At the beginning of this episode, I was like, God, if I knew that Ellie had not seen this series, I would have come prepared with 2 truths and a lie about.
Oh my god!
And I would have not. I would have no idea.
There's no way to guess them.
It would have been so much fun, though. But yes,
But if you do want to see Spencer in space, read "Angry Lesbian Space Prison" and have a great time.
That is what it's called. Literally, Google "Angry Lesbian Space Prison." It's my pride and joy. It's the best thing I've ever done.
It's the length of many
Yeah,
novels.
it's 275K. You know, my friend read it in 2 days. Like, it's fine.
It's fine.
It's fine.
I can't wait. There's so much to look forward to in this life.
We
we
bestow
ready?
joy and blessings upon you, Ellie.
Yes. Are we ready for our Q and Gay, Lee?
Q and Gay.
Question number 1. What was your favorite Pretty Little Liars cinematic universe show? A. OG. B. Ravenswood. C. Horror reboot.
Well, I mean, it's OG, no question. I watched 1 episode of Ravenswood and went, no, I don't care. And I watched, I think, 5 episodes of the reboot, the original Sin reboot, and couldn't get into it. But there is also another show that you did not mention.
Oh, what is it? What did I miss?
There is a spinoff called The Perfectionists.
Oh, yeah. That's right. I forgot about it.
Takes place after the season 7 PLL finale. I did not watch that. But
I didn't watch it either. That's why I forgot it.
You know, because it had the characters that I didn't care as much about. And, you know, if it doesn't have Spencer and Arya, I'm not going to show up.
Gone.
Plus, didn't they, like, immediately break Emily and Allison up?
Yeah, I don't know too much except that yes, this divorce happened.
It's in the
happened there.
Yeah.
So yeah, OG favorite for sure. Everything else, whatever.
I made it through a full season of Ravenswood, and I think I deserve an award because it was a struggle. And I made it through the first season of the horror reboot, which honestly I still enjoyed. Kelsey didn't like it as much because it was too scary for her, but I thought that it captured similar levels of like insanity in a like it just I don't think it ever tried to take itself as seriously as well. They just tried to make it like gorier, which I was like, I can get behind this, quite honestly.
But the thing about that is I felt like they were doing a lot really fast, and I hadn't had time to develop caring about these characters and caring that they were in peril.
It definitely suffered from the fact that like PLL used to get 20 episode seasons and it didn't. And you kind of need them to like really make a show like this work. I think it's hard, but
yeah, it felt like they were trying to pick up in terms of like what A is doing to them.
Yeah.
To pick up where the other show left off and keep amping it up and amping it up.
Yeah.
Except if you're introducing brand new people and need us to care about them, you have to give us time with them before they're just being like chased by a guy with a knife, you know, or whatever. So it didn't work for me, but maybe it worked for others.
That's okay. It was campy and crazy, and you got to give him credit for that. Okay, question 2, John. Did Shay Mitchell make you question your sexuality? Yes, no, or I was already there?
I was already there, but there's an episode where she is working an event in a white shirt and a black tie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know how anybody who wasn't already into women could watch her in that episode and not be converted. Like, it's kind of up there in the echelon of like Skank Quinn with the pink hair, like having the power to turn people gay. it's pretty high up there.
Yeah. I
So
mean, honestly,
shout out to Emily and
bless
Sue.
the costume designers in a general sense for dressing Shay Mitchell in this show. They really went hard
They
sometimes.
did so good.
Yeah, and whenever she had to be in something fancier, like every now and then she was in a dress, but they did some fancier, like kind of
Yeah.
tuxie style,
Yeah.
type things, with like still, she's certainly kind of a, more femme kind of person, but some like an homage to like mask clothes, kind
And
of.
they put her in that Barbarella outfit, and honestly,
Done.
blessings upon us all.
All right. Question number 3. Who did you ship with Emily? A. Maya, B. Samara, C. Paige, or D. Allison?
Yeah, it was slim pickings.
I
know.
don't.
No one.
I mean, there are a few others too that I just.
Listen, last on the list, Sarah Harvey. Then you try to dig
I
your way out from
know.
there, and it's bad.
I never really shipped Emily Hard with anybody because
No.
I didn't like any of her potential love interests much. Like I was okay with Emily Page, I guess, for some of the time. And I just I never got into caring about her others. So if I have to pick someone on that list, I would pick Paige, who's like a neutral, whereas the others are a dislike. And I know there's people like yelling at me, yelling at their
People
phone.
About Allison?
Yeah, people shipped Emily Allison hard at the time, especially younger viewers. I think that was like a big ship for them. So
Yeah.
we're not here to yuck anyone's yum. Okay, it's fine. Okay, in question 4, John. Important question. What was the most insane moment of the show? Out of these 4 choices, or feel free to nominate your own.
Woo!
A, the Halloween train. B, the chickpeas. C, Allie getting pregnant. Or D, the dollhouse.
Okay, so Allie getting pregnant is just such an insane, like the fact that it's from stolen eggs, like it's just such an insane violation of consent. Like, who came up with that idea and thought, oh, hey, let's put this on television? The Dollhouse is an episode that I really like. It's dark and I like it, and they're in prison jumpsuits, which I'm into.
Makes
So, but honestly, I'm gonna say the thing about this show that always was the most ridiculous to me wasn't even any of the hijinks per se. It was the fact that on countless occasions, especially post time jump, there are multiple moments where a character is wearing a like rubber mask of another person and
Yes.
convinces other people that it's real, like that they are that person. And then you see
Height
them like
differences
pull
don't
off the
matter.
mask.
Vocal
No.
differences
Voices
don't matter.
No, or the fact that if something is like, unless you are truly like movie level mask maker, right? You're not going to be convincing. And so that to me was always the most ridiculous thing, that you would watch a conversation play out, a scene play out, and someone would leave and the other person would like turn and pull this rubber mask off their face. I'm like, are you fucking kidding
It was
me?
like
It happens so much.
Batwoman level storylines that we're dealing with here. Just crazy stuff. Crazy stuff.
There must be a super edit on YouTube somewhere of all the like mask reveals, because I mean it must be 10 times. It was just, to me, the most unbelievable thing that they did. More than evil twin with the bad accent, more than the various mishaps, more than a hijinks, like how Mona did the like freaking alphabet cereal, alphabets with only A's in the little box, just knowing that that would be the one that's picked up. Or it's just so many things where it's like, how would you know? How would you nail the timing of this? But it's dramatic.
Don't question it.
And
Don't question it.
It makes fun television.
A can always
but
do it.
I can't forgive the masks. Wow. I can't.
Final question. Here we go. Pick a liar. I think we know the answer. A, Spencer. B,
Spencer.
Emily. C, R. Yeah, we knew it.
I don't need to hear the other answers. Spencer Hastings is everything. She is just the bestest, most wonderful character who's ever existed. not only is she deeply flawed, which I enjoy, like there's a lot to dig into with her character. She's very book smart, but garbage at actually solving mysteries.
Mm-hmm.
So, she's someone who expects to be right all the time, and other people expect her to be right all the time. And unless it's the answer to a European history test, she's probably wrong. And I don't think it once in the entire series she correctly identifies who A is. And
No.
it's actually like funny. It's comedically funny that she's so bad at solving this mystery around her when she's built up as, the genius, like brilliant character. And
It's
she's a beautiful crier. I'm sorry, I'm just going to talk about Spencer.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
it's
cut it.
literally in my
Another
recollection
20
of this
minutes.
show. The way I imagine it is like I just picture Spencer with like a magnifying glass, like examining a leaf, and like meanwhile Mona's behind her, like hanging a banner with like A messages, just like
Pretty
comical
much.
levels of like missing the point sometimes.
And I think it makes her a really fun character to watch.
Yeah.
I'm never like, God, you're so stupid. What the fuck is wrong with you? But I sympathize with her. She's trying very hard
She's
and
just bad at it.
has a lot going on. And she is the least favorite child in her family. And her father is the whore of the city. And so there are all these family dynamics at play. And
I know
she
we didn't
just
even talk
wants
about
to
Melissa,
be
and like I wish we had
loved.
another hour because we could just dive in, but like Ellie, you'll just have to
I
experience
know. I can't wait.
all of it.
I know. Well,
all
also,
of
I'm
it
like,
for
we didn't talk
yourself.
about the just like like we said a bit. All the men are predators. Like the fact that the like
Everyone.
biggest
God.
ship on this is like everyone's like, yes, Arya, be with your creepy English teacher.
It's so gross.
It's
It was gross
so
the whole time.
disgusting.
It was
Yeah.
always gross. It's still
And
gross.
in the end of season 4, when they, when he is the potential A, and we find out, oh no, it's not that he's A, but the reason why he has cameras all over the city and why he has a lair with timelines of all the girls' lives and all this stuff is that no, it's that the whole time he was writing a book about Allison after having dated her when she was 14. And so it's
Ellie's face right now.
Wait.
I wish
Allison is
I wish
Ezra's
everyone
ex?
could see this. Yes.
And this is revealed later. And so it's fine that Ezra isn't A, except it reveals that when he met Arya in the pilot, he knew exactly who she was and lied to her about not knowing who she was, because he would have known because he had already dated Allison and heard about all her friends. And so
Mhm.
it's that, oh, you're not A, but you have been lying to Arya for the entirety.
You're just a serial
You're
child
You're just a
predator.
serial predator.
Yes.
Yeah. And that remains still the end game ship. And
Yep.
not only is it the end game ship of that show, they mention it in the reboot horror show in the way that they sort of like tie these cinematic universes together in an extremely unthought through and again, plot holy way that you're like, what? What are we
And-
talking about
Oh,
here?
that's so terrifying.
No, it's awful.
Ezra and Arya was like the fan-driven pairing.
Yeah.
The fandom online was pretty rabid and insane. And so even when I think the showrunners at some point were like, okay, maybe we should not have them end up together because of the message that we're promoting here, the fans were like, oh no, you will give us their marriage or we will like riot in the streets and murder you. And so it ended up being fan service that they were together.
Oh God,
in the end.
honestly, I don't know if that makes me feel even worse.
Oh, it's
It's-
terrible. It never
it's-
gets better, Ellie.
it
Just
doesn't.
buckle up, okay?
It
Just
doesn't.
buckle up.
And 80% of Arya's entire storyline in the show is around him. She's
Yeah.
very isolated from the others
Mhm.
a lot of the time, and is picked on by A the least, to the point where a lot of fans thought that Arya was A. And there's actually a lot of evidence in the show that backs up that Arya could be A. And my friends were so convinced that Arya was A, and we're very excited about it. And it is fun to watch the show with that lens. But yeah, Arya is just so off to the side in her drama riding her English teacher's dick that she is out of a lot of the A hijinks.
So disturbing.
Yeah.
Oh God.
It's-
But remember,
it's the whole
listeners,
thing.
you can give us your own answers to this episode's Q&A questions on our Instagram at Lez Hang Out Pod.
I have strong opinions on things. While I stand by my opinions, I do, hope I did not offend anyone too terribly with
No, I
my
think
And if
the
you
opinion.
did,
I
add
think
us,
yeah,
people, add us.
I think the opinion that this child predator should not get married to the child
Oh,
he
so gross.
preyed on is not offensive.
And the show did address, hey, maybe this isn't okay. Like her parents were really upset about it and stuff. And there's a scene where it turns out it's just a dream, but we see him getting arrested for all of this. So it's like the show knew this
Yeah.
wasn't okay, and yet their fan base was so for it
That is
because
so crazy.
Listen,
just so
listen.
cute.
Also,
No.
something else to say just before we wrap it up, because we also didn't have time to get to this, but I will say if there are other listeners who are, like millennial aged and are like, do I want to watch this show where apparently the thirst traps are all going to be high school girls in it? There are still the Pretty Little Moms, and
Oh my god, I know. Watching it this time around, I was
there's a
like,
lot of content for you too. Okay, don't
hot.
worry. Is all I'm saying. Don't worry.
I'm obsessed. Well, because
we love the
Arya's
Wine
mom was in
Moms.
Charmed,
Yeah.
and that
Yes.
also I'm like, as I'm watching it, I'm like, I want to watch Charmed.
And they're just great. They're just great. So
Yeah.
there are lots of reasons to go back and dive into the absolute batshit insanity that was and is Pretty Little Liars. Okay.
And I will also plug, some of you listening may be familiar with the SimGM Glee that was on YouTube, the animated spoofs. The ones for PLL are fantastic. So if you literally just go to YouTube and type SIMGM Pretty Little Liars, they're like 50 little episodes or something, and they are hilarious and fantastic.
Incredible.
So that is some quality content for you as well.
John,
Yes.
thank you so much for coming on, hanging out with us again. I know you were just so sick of me already.
It's my pleasure. I know. I just saw you a few weeks ago.
I know. So thanks for sharing all of your many, many, just
opinions.
Well, I was gonna say libraries worth of knowledge on Pretty Little Liars with us, but also your opinions. Let our listeners know if they want to find you. Where can they find you on all the social medias?
I'm not doing too much on social media these days. I'd say if you want to hang out with me and other people who have opinions on things like this, you should come to TGI Fem Slash next February. Lee has been twice now and was even voted MVP once because she's great.
Wow.
TGIFemslash.com. I'm on Instagram just a little bit, JArrow272, but if you go to my AO3, which is just J-Arrow, I do have some Sparia content there. And if you Google Angry Lesbian Space Prison, you'll find my other account where I have some much, much filthier Pretty Little Liars stuff there.
Yes.
But, yeah, I mean, I have a Tumblr, Jero272, but I haven't touched it in years. So, yeah,
Incredible.
Thank you so much. What a insane ride.
Thank you for inviting me on this queer roller coaster and putting up with my many rambles about it. I really appreciate it. This was a lot of fun.
It was beautiful.
I hope I did service to one of my favorite shows of all time. And my apologies for any mistakes that I have made this evening with this batshit show. Tried to remember it all.
You did great.
I can't wait for someone to send us all the mistakes. We love hearing all of you. We love continuing to build this community, and we just want to shout out some of our favorite things every episode. And we want to shout out some of the comments that we got, because everyone was so kind about our technical difficulties that we had while Ellie was out of town and we couldn't get the episode up last week. Also, thank you to everyone who was so excited that we put our Encanto episode back up. Love Just Arrow. Love that episode. But also, I love V Sinead on Instagram, who mentioned that they just watched the Hollywood performance and that They all kilt it because they did indeed kilt it. Love it. But yes, it is always a good time for a rewatch, always a good time for a
rewind.
re-listen. Can't go wrong with La Familia Madrigal.
As always, I want to thank our Lesbian Jesus patrons, Mark Foster,
Lizette Stye,
Katie Benitez,
Sophia Phillips,
and Armani Gucci.
And our King Princess patrons, Amy and Ellen.
And Andrea Doucette, thank you so much. Our Patreon is our biggest supporter of the show and helps us keep making it.
Remember, you can also find us on all social medias. We are on Instagram, Facebook, Blue Sky, and TikTok at Lez Hang Out Pod.
You can email us at lezhangoutpod@gmail.com.
And you can check out our website at lezhangoutpod.com.
Whatever app you use for podcasts, make sure you subscribe to be the first to know when new episodes drop.
We also have videos going up on our YouTube channel, so make sure you subscribe at youtube.com/lezhangoutpod to catch them.
Lez Hang Out is an independently produced show hosted by us with audio production by me. Our production assistant is Kristen Murison, and other podcasting shenanigans by Lee Holmes Foster.
If you want to help support the podcast, the first thing you can do, it is free, it is easy. You can leave us a rating and a review on whatever app you use to listen to podcasts. It helps new people find the show.
If you want to support us on Patreon, you can join at bit.ly/lezpatreon. We have 1 million. We have quite a few Patreon bonus episodes up there, so if you're like, I need more Lez Hang Out content.
If you want to get some Lez Hang Out merch, you can find all of our designs up on our store, on our website. We have all sorts of new things that have gone up, like our cups and mugs and travel mugs and hats and dad hats and all sorts of fun stuff. You can find that at bit.ly/lezshop.
And remember, we have a queer production company making queer podcast musicals with guaranteed happy endings. You can find everywhere at $dollarbeanprod.
You can also check out our website, dollarbeanproductions.com.
You can listen to all the episodes of our first show, The Flame, on any podcasting app, and our second show, Journey to the Heart, also on any podcasting app.
And if you want to help support us in making more musicals, you can join our Patreon at bit.ly/dollarbeanpatreon.
If you want to follow us individually, you can follow me on all the social medias at Ellie Brigida.
And you can find me on Instagram, Blue Sky, and TikTok at LSH Foster.
With that, I'm Ellie.
And I'm Lee. And let's hang out again soon.
Let's hang out. I don't wrinkle 'cause secrets keep you young. They taste like honey when they glide across my tongue. Feel a tingle like somebody is watching you. Every move, everything you do. Tell me a secret, a lie, a foolproof alibi, a truth you've got to hide if you want to stay alive. Keep you guessing, that's how I have my fun. I'm like a predator, I like you on the run. I like it messy, so show me what you're holding back. Drop the mask, push until you snap. Tell me a secret, a lie, a foolproof alibi, a truth you've got to hide if you want to stay alive. You're just a couple of pick-me's, sniffing at answers like bitch, please. You think you'll catch me, but you never could. Rise to my level, but you ain't that good. I know you better than you know yourself. My scarlet letter is burnt to your chest. I'll do whatever it takes for revenge. Girl, you better check your text. Tell me a secret, a lie, a foolproof alibi, a truth you've got to hide if you want to stay alive. Are you a liar, a friend, a sister in the end, afraid to cross the line if you gotta stay alive?
Hey folks, we're the hosts of Comic Sans, the podcast about comics for those who are sans knowledge. I'm Yen, a reader, writer, liver, and breather of comic books.
And I'm Nat,
I used to know absolutely nothing about comics, but now...
So actually, I've got a quiz for you.
I still have a lot to learn about comics.
Thank you. On Comic Sans, I make Nat read some of my favorite works in the medium, including Saga, Daredevil, and the Flintstones.
And Yen talks about what makes that comic special. Sometimes it's a story, sometimes it's...
Paneling, gutters, page turns, colorings, lettering, semiotics, juxtaposition.
Okay, Professor, save it for the episodes.
You can listen to Comic Sans on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
You can binge our first 2 seasons. That's over 20 episodes on 20 different comics.
And we just launched Season 3, new episodes every 2 weeks.